Alright, so we are able to pick a free Season 1 unit from the Clover Academy units on Global, as per usual as it's been. And it will be in the Gateway of Reunion tab that you see right here. And as of right now, I already did my seasonal mage for this season. But considering the changes on JP, it's possible that we're going to be able to pick multiple from now on. But we're going to have to see. This is one of those things that we're going to have to wait and see for. Now, I'm going to show you guys what it looks like on Google real quick. And then we're going to just talk about the 3 Season 1 mages. So this is how it looks like inside. And you are able to pick which of the 3 you want, and then afterwards, if you want to reset it, you are able to, and you're not going to lose being able to pick with one of them. Now, what you are going to lose is mission progress. Now, as for the missions, I won't really talk about them, but it's 6 missions that you have to complete, and usually they are a bit tedious. And if Hall of Illusions, which is the main limited time event that actually gets you the clears for limited time dungeons, if that's not there for the limited times, then it's going to be quite long to actually complete the limited time mission of clearing like about 30, because if we check in there right now, there's like 2 or 3 things there usually. But if Hall of Illusions gets bumped out to general, then obviously it's going to be much longer because you can only do a certain amount per day. So as for future seasons, just to kind of get you informed, season 1 we get a free key of reunion. That's just a guaranteed, but afterwards you have to complete the monthlies to be getting these key of reunions so that you could get the free seasonals. Even if you reset, you're still gonna have the key of reunion. It's just when you actually get the mage that it's gonna take the key of reunion. So for season 1, obviously we've got Yami, Asta, and Mimosa. Okay, those are our 3 that we're gonna be talking about. I'm just going to be talking about who you should pick to really have the best chance. Now, I'm going to be presenting some different situations. I think for this game, it's very hard to get a perfect type of thing. But honestly, for Season 1 global launch, all 3 of these are top tier picks. That's the thing. They all have their separate roles. And I think the only one who really stands the test of time is seasonal Mimosa. On JP, she is still the best. But on global, she's probably the least good just for launch because she is a healer. Now let's just talk about the kits, and then I'm gonna do the who you should choose at the end. Okay, so Yami is a mainly single target DPS who has a AoE skill 2. On his skill 1, he gets an all attack increase if he has 4 or more SP, which is pretty good. That's going to go very much hand in hand with his updated dupes that we're going to talk about again. I already made a video on it and I went more into it on like if it's very good or very bad, but we'll just talk about it. So his skill 2 is an AoE, and this AoE also grants him an extra SP, which is going to make him get his ult back quicker. Blocks HP recovery, which is very strong to counter Mimosa because it's AoE, right? And then with his skill page, he's going to be removing a debuff on himself, and if he does remove a debuff, he attacks after he grants himself 15% increased damage dealt, which is a very strong thing. Just 15% extra on an AoE could be very good. Now his ult is his strong point in PvP, where it applies total silence to where no one could use their skill 2 or ultimate, which is nice. And then he also reduces SP by 3, making it usually that you won't be able to use combo either. So it's a nice little thing. This stops you from using the combo because it's going to remove 3. Now you could still maybe use it because you could be bumped back up to 6, but let's say you're at like 7 or 6 SP, then it's bumping you down to where you can't use the combo, and then total silence is making it so you can't use the skill 2 or ult. So it really does do a lot. And then, oh well, there you go. Okay, perfect. This, when you get it to level 5, it makes it SP minus 4, which means you just can't use the combo because you need to be at least at 5 when your turn starts to get to 6 to use the combo. Now the damage is pretty low. 190% is on the lower side for a single target, but overall it's pretty good because it lowers SP and it applies total silence. Now his combo 2 is going to be very good because people are going to be using Rodus, and where it's going to remove barrier. And removing barrier is a very strong skill because you you remove barrier and then you attack, so it's good. It's just a really good thing to have to very quickly kill DPSs that are on Rodus teams and Noel teams in the future. Let's talk about this after. Now, he gets 15% increased favored damage, which makes him very good for PvE content and the best DPS for it on launch for blue teams. And the thing is with that, what's really good about that is that he's the only really like usable next to Solid and maybe Ghost PvE units. And Yami is definitely the best on launch, so that is a given. Now, his stats are heavily relied towards attack, but overall his stat spread isn't really good. I haven't really checked it out too much, but yeah, no, he's pretty much he's up there. He's actually decently up there. But to be fair, his competition is not that good. So yeah, that actually, compared to some other ones, like for example Kyoto, who does come out later, it's worse, but it's definitely not horrible. This is like launch stats to me, right? So it's definitely usable. Now his dupe passive's been increased from 5% and then 10% at max. So this dupe passive gets unlocked at dupe 2, and then the dupe 5 passive is the double of this to 10%. Now the level 2 passive is going to be 10% outright instead of level 5, and then the level 5 is at the start of a turn grants SP plus 1 buff, which is going to be insanely good just for PvE content if you want to max them out. But overall, I still think, like, out of the 3, well, no, it's just there's only one that's really good to max dupe, and it's not Yami. But if you want to get him to dupe level 2, 10% just like that is really good. I think investing in him slightly is going to be decent, but you got to consider he is not a long-term unit. But Season 1, he is going to be pretty good. But if they release Riot Lich after 2 weeks, then it's still, he won't have much time to shine because he could die very quickly. He doesn't really have much HP or defense, so that's just how it is. Obviously, as a DPS and as a blue one, Riot and Lich, they're both green, and they're going to probably dominate PvP once they're out. Now, I really think that for launch, for that first week, he might be the best, but then he does quickly fall off. Now, the thing is, you got to consider, it's going to take a while for you to actually get these units. So you got to consider if you're going to even need him, because you could very quickly, if you just have Lotus and Mars, or just Lotus, and you have the SR Blues, right? If you have like Solid, Gauche, and then Charmy, I'd say, something like that. If you just have Charmy and Solid, and Lotus, then you're fine, right? You're fine, and you don't need Blue Yami, because Blue Yami for PvP is not great. And for PvE, if you have the SRs, I literally did a full SR run team with gear sets that you could get probably a week and a half in at max. Like, you could easily get that even earlier, probably. So yeah, I would say that the blue SRs are really good, and you don't need Blue Yami, really. So yeah, that's just my personal opinion, and you guys let me know. But Blue Yami is probably the weakest out of the 3 now, because obviously with all the information we know and how good the SR blue units are, where Solid is going to be a pretty good AoE unit, Ghost single target, Charmy is going to be healing like crazy, Soul could be good for taunting, and that's like the blue team I used. But then if you start spicing it up and then add the SSRs, like Lotus, right? If you have Lotus there, or Mars also, and William, right? All these 3 could be very good to help boost that, and you might not need Blue Yami. So honestly, I think Blue Yami, probably the worst one, because of the fact that you're gonna have to wait so long to get it, because of the fact you got to complete all 6 missions, and one of the missions, right, is clear limited time challenges. I think it was more than 20, and the problem is this might be tough. I'm not gonna lie, it might be tough, or it just might be long, because of the fact that we got to consider, okay, we got to consider that we don't have Hall of Illusions in limited time anymore, because of the fact it was moved on JP, and I'm guessing they're making a lot of changes similar to JP. So because of that, Hall of Illusions being the main thing that made it very quick to get limited time challenges, well, now it won't be there. So we won't be able to get him super quick, like in 4 or 5 days, which also means we don't have a use for him early game, okay? Now, you could pull him on a banner, and that's great, but as the best one to pick, I don't really think so. Now, Asta, him, if you want to invest in him as a DPS, he will only really start to fall off in about season 3 or 4, so like 2 months in, if you have a max dupe. Now, if you don't have a max dupe, he does fall off much quicker. Now, they're going to be giving a lot of free SSR dupes, so you got to consider that too. Now, what he does is great, and they did kind of give him some pretty decent dupes overall, or increased dupes, I should say. So he's a single target completely. His ult is very strong, and also, by the way, he only has attack. Now, his ult, very strong, gives him an extra turn if he attacks someone who's above 80% HP outright. Then if he's attacking a boss, he gets 30% increased damage dealt. So Asta, out of the 3, is the most useful in terms of fighting bosses and in PvP for now, right? Now, the skill 2 is going to be giving him an increased attack buff for just that attack, and then he's going to be having a chance to get increased mobility, which is good. Now, skill 1 is going to be giving an extra attack if there's a buff, well, with a chance, and then he gets himself some extra damage stacks every time he uses the skill 1. Now, the combo him 2 also removes barriers, so to me that's pretty good. He has a very good kit, and especially when Riot Lich come out, he's going to be very strong in dealing with them. If you build a speed team around him, I could see him being very good, right? I wonder why they don't show the rankings for global like here, which Fair enough, but anyway. So now as for his passive, his unique passive is grants 4% increased attack at the start of each turn, so up to 3 times, and it's irremovable, so you get 12% here, and then you get 12% increased attack if we go here for 1 turn at the start of a wave. I think they buffed it to 2 turns though, and I think that's a little error, so just consider this 2 turns. But yeah, so you get the increased attack for 2 turns now because they went, yeah, no, wait, if I pull this up real quick. So if we check here on Asta, it's for 2 turns and not 1 turn because that was the dupe 5 effect. That went to the dupe 2 effect now because they're kind of making it like you get the dupes better and earlier, right? So you get the increased attack for 2 turns at the start of the wave, and that's going to be able to reset. So for PvE, he's going to work pretty well early game because you have Red Charlotte for free, who's going to work very well in tangent with him. Then for bosses, because he has like the extra increased damage and his single target damage is just very high, he's going to be good. And then for PvP, he's going to be good because at max dupe, he's the quickest DPS for a good bit until... Who was it that got it second? I forgot who got the speed second, the 109 speed. Who got it second? Until you get to Langris? Langris came out first, right? No, until you get to Charmy, and then Langris, and then Fauna, and then Magna, they get it. So yeah, he's the quickest for a bit at max dupe only. So yeah, if you want to build him up, definitely going to be very good. His kit is good, and being able to get this extra turn just makes him very solid. Now, of course, him being able to remove barrier makes him one of the only units that's going to be able to counter someone like Rades, which we need that. We do need that. So Asta, pretty good. To me, one of the better ones, and at max dupe I didn't say, but you also get status and immunity now for 1 turn, which blocks stuns at the beginning of a battle, which is honestly, I like that. I do like that. But it's nothing crazy, but he didn't need anything crazy because he gets the speed on his dupes, and well, Yami doesn't. But honestly, if you pick this Asta, you're going to be in a good spot for PvP, right? Of course, you got to consider you're going to be summoning, and my best recommendation is to try to pick all 3, right? But I'll do a fully... I'll give actual examples later, but I'm just giving like a mini review on who you should pick, and then like I'll do a full-on section for this. But Asta is one of the 2 I'd pick next to Mimosa. So she, as a healer, is very strong, and there's not really much that's wrong with her. Even in JP, she holds out strong. So on her ult, she gets a resurrection. This is one of the best ults in the game because she heals based on 180% of her magic attack. So you're just going to go crazy on her M attack. And this is going to be healing sometimes 50, 60k, which is pretty much a full heal. Then it gives increased defense for 2 turns by level 2, which is going to be very good. You're going to see a pretty high amount of defensive increase. And then she could choose someone to resurrect, giving them 30% HP. And then on her LR passive, it's going to bring them up to 50%. So her skill 2 is also very good in increasing buff duration to the person you choose, one of your allies. It's going to be obviously healing, increasing damage resistance too. And if you have her skill page, it's going to be extending buff duration by 2 turns, which is a very strong effect. Then the skill 1 heals more and also gives SP plus 1, has a chance to give it to the person who is recovered. So all 3 of her skills are great, right? I don't really recommend using this. But if you do, I would say use it with Asta if you want to use the combo to get rid of the barrier. 100% attack increase is just wild. Now, she does give herself 10% damage taken on her, what's it called? On her level 2 dupe, which you only need 2 dupes for. Now, the thing is, what's a bit unclear to me is the level 5 because of how it's worded. So for Yami, it says at the start of a turn grants a SP plus 1 buff, where here it's when attacking grants an SP plus 1 buff. And the problem is, she only has 1 attack skill. So I don't know if it's really just like that, but if it is, then it would kind of suck and not be a great one. So I don't really consider you should max duper, but either way, I don't think you would really. But yeah, Mimosa is very good, and she's gonna help you, especially for the green team. I think out of the 3, you would need her the most because there is red. There's not really many others, but Noelle comes out soon. But as a healer, she's gonna be very good. Now for PvP, she is also gonna be useful for a while. So if you're wondering for PvP, I'd say like the best 2 are definitely these 2 if you're trying to go like PvP ham. Now Blue Yami for sure, if we could have got him quicker from the gateway, would have been the way to go in my opinion, because he would have greatly helped you. But because he's not, I'd say that these 2 are probably the best. So let's get into it. Now Asta, for people who are planning on investing in him, is probably the best pick because he will be good pretty much forever. You could use him forever. In the single target content. You will not be using him in Hall of Illusions, but you will be using him in raids such as the Golem and also the flicking the triple head serpent, right? So he's gonna be good for all that stuff, even probably in Guild Boss, but I personally haven't used him because I love DOTs and I love the Charmy team, the Halloween Charmy team. Now Mimosa is gonna be very good for grinding, first of all, and Guild Boss she could work in, right? She has worked in it for me. You will probably find use of her in some sort of Hall of Illusions content, and also in PvP she is going to stay strong, and she is one of the top options for PvP after all this time. Being an S is not something to scoff at in a JP tier list that's 6 months in, and she's all the way in like the top 15 units. It's very good, right? It is very good. This Mimosa is insane for PvP, and I'd say she's the best pick, but for early grinding progression and just being able to get your account rolling, picking one of the DPSs is probably better. But if you do, the best way to go is probably get either Yami or Asta from pulling on your reroll, and then obviously getting Mimosa from Gateway. That's the way to go, because you don't need Mimosa right away, but she's definitely the best. Now, also, I'm pretty sure on Canada, you can already delete your account, which means now on Global, you'll be able to delete your accounts for reroll, which is a very good thing. All 3 units are pretty good. Yami gets kind of shafted very quickly, but he's definitely the weakest to me out of the 3, because Asta has his place against bosses and PvP, and Mimosa just constantly has a place in PvP. So, yeah, because her res is very strong, right? That's just the way it is. Now, I'd say pick Red Asta if you want to go investing into him. I think he is a good idea, especially because he doesn't really fall off that quick. It's really only when the blue meta starts going really crazy to me, like if we're really considering, it's when we start getting to people like Charmy, Charlotte, right? When Charlotte gets there, it gets annoying. And then also Noelle. When you see these 3, then I think Asta starts to become much less worth it. But until then, this Asta is going to be thriving, and you could still use him in content. So I don't think there's anything wrong with him. Personally, my go-to pick would be Asta, because obviously 109 speed is just insane. He's quicker than most units in this game, even like some supporters, some debuffers and everything, which is really insane. But for long term, definitely Mimosa. I would recommend, obviously, my best way is probably pull one of the DPSs, get Mimosa. But if you're not planning on summoning much on the season 1 banner because you're saving a bit too much, or you want Raya and Lich as your first like DPS meta team, then just pick Mimosa. I'd say that's fine. Or I mean, sorry, pick Asta or Mimosa. That's like the way to go. Not Yami. Asta if you're planning on putting resources into him, and then Mimosa if you just want the best option. That's like the way I go for it. And just to kind of note, you should get anywhere from like 6 to 8 SSR dupe stones, universal dupes, month 1, which means you could completely dupe him free to play and still have extra, right? Now, if you do some summons and pull him, then I mean, you could obviously get a dupe of him too if you want. So it's all up to you. But I'd say if you do pull and you get 2 of them, just choose the other one. You want to get every single seasonal you can in this game, because for all we know, they could have a use in the future. So that's my personal opinion, right? Yami's definitely the weakest. But if you don't really have, the only option that I could see you pulling from Yami is really if you don't have your blue team built and you're not planning on re-rolling, because you want to have at least Charmy and then one of the blue DPSs being Solid or Ghost with Lotus. So Lotus definitely should be your go-to pick for your account. But then as for the SRs, you would need Charmy for the most part, and then either Solid or Ghost. So please, if you don't like decide, if you don't get lucky or you don't decide to really try to build a blue team, then go for blue Yami. But that's the only case where I could see it, where you just don't get lucky on the SRs and you don't get Solid, Ghost, Charmy, or Soul, or all 4, right? If you don't get that, then maybe pick Yami. But if you do, then Asta and Mimosa are the only ones you should pick, and it's going to depend on if you want to invest in Asta or not. So yeah, let me know what you guys think. I hope this video was helpful. Asta just really gets crazy at max dupe, so that's why I really think that you should go for it, because 109 speed, if we're looking at it just character stats, DPSs, right? If we go to speed, okay, the top 5 are all recent units, but except for that, all other DPSs are almost always at 103 speed. So having a base speed of 109, or not a base speed, a max dupe base speed at 109 is really crazy, especially with him being able to get the extra turn like that. Very good. So yeah, that's the video. I hope this helped. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.